Let me introduce our moderator for the panel discussion. That is Mr. Pankaj Sharma, Head L&OD Healthcare Global Enterprises Limited. Along with him, our panel members, Mr. Harshal Sawant, Global Learning and Competency Development Leader, Visteon Corporation. Mr. Joseph Antony, Director HR Global Leadership Development, Cognizant. Ms. Purna Mahidhara, Head of People Operations and HR Technology, Altimetrik. Ms. Rashmi Antony, Senior Vice President Learning and Talent Development, Angel One. Can we have a huge round of applause for all of them?
You know, one secret I would like to reveal. Are you ready to hear? Sorry? Say it a little louder. So the secret is the most important panel, they have kept it at last. Right, so we have been keep on listening since morning about, the AI, will it replace or not replace? Yeah, and it gives little, the emotion of fear when you hear, will it going to replace? My God, what will going to happen to our job? So don't worry, nothing will going to be replaced, right? Because there are many elements are there when it comes to the human elements to the people and people to interactions, where the blended approach. So I always used to say AI plus HI. What is HI? Human intelligence. And that will help you to give the better output and the best output. So take the help of AI, right? But at the same time, certain competencies are there which are the human competencies and the capabilities where human really need to play a very important and a vital role in any of the human to human interaction in an organization. And then if you think about making any decision, and that's the best part of the decision, especially when it comes to human resource. So thank you so much. Can I have a big round of applause to the real people, those are really interested for the learning in this from this panel. Thank you so much, and thanks to all the panelists here taking out time and ready and willingness to share your thought processes and the best practices amongst all the lovely and mindful the people from human resource. So my first question goes to Rashmi. Rashmi, the question goes that how can L&D leader ensure their training program align with overall business objective and drive the organizational success? So one side, business people are having their own, the expectations. So how HR or maybe L&D can align with the business goals?
Sure, thanks for that. Again, I don't want this to be like a Gyan session, especially like he said, this is the last session. So we'll try to make it quick. Couple of things that come to my mind, right? The first one is, as an L&D partner, in your respective functions, irrespective of what level you are, start with being a part of the business priorities and not just interact with them at the time of training needs analysis and stuff like that, right? So if you're in a fairly decently established L&D team, start from the time the leaders are starting their visioning exercises, building their North Stars, coming up with their OKRs and KPIs for the year. Start there, right? If you're in a fairly not so established L&D function, and you're a much leaner org, right? And targeting, being a part of these exercises is difficult. Start with building great rapport with people who know some of these pieces, like your HR business partners, and I know some of them are here, who also play very key influential roles. Start with CXO one downs, right? Who also know and are forming the key KPIs for the functions as well, right? So that's the first step. Second step, now that you have that, right? Link all your, your learning goals. Try and link them to what the business wants, right? Link them to the outcomes, right? It's no longer about what the learners want, right? You will be in a better position to kind of ask them, what are your capability gaps that you see in the org vis-a-vis those goals, right? So there's a clear clarity you will be able to establish, and the intent that is an L&D function, you don't want to be just content creators, you want to be enablers, right? And you're set out to do something, even if the clarity at that stage might not be there. Have great sponsorships in, from your business folks and HR and the other HR fraternity in this process. So that it'll take, and showcase short-term wins as well, not just long-term wins, right? Learning analytics goes a long way. I think the LinkedIn stats say that almost about 80% of professionals, learning professionals, want to link their training needs to the larger business goals, and that's a great intent displayed, but only 30% of them are successful. And the reason they're not successful is not because of an issue with their intent. It's because they really they've not worked on collating data or looking at what forms of data could they go back with during the year. So that's a big one. The other piece is also maybe you may want to co-own some of the business goals, right? So move beyond the regular learner metrics that you may use in terms of learner satisfaction and your coverage, right? Look at where you can track more behavioral changes, where you can track more business ROI and stuff like that. That'll take you a longer run in terms of getting a seat at the table at the same time, also showcasing a larger org success, and that's been my experience.
Yeah, very nicely shared by Rashmi. One of the most important skill and the competencies of the people in HR, especially in L&D, they need to be very good in terms of articulation and the business language, storytelling. The moment you keep the business number in front of a business leader, their senses are waking up, they will keep their eyes and ears open. Okay, my God, something you are sharing. And as Rashmi has very rightly said, talk about the data, talk about the numbers, talk about what really helps the organization to move the needle from here to there, and how L&D as a function can help the business to move from here to there. And always as a L&D leader, we need to have a lot of, the advocates who can talk in favor of L&D. So we have seen so many, the strategies about the marketing, about the L&D, showcasing at various platforms what L&D or maybe the HR can really do. So in an organization, find out the people, those are actual influencers who can talk in favor of L&D and probably allow these people and welcome these people to sit into the session wherever training is really going on. So make them feel that whatever you are doing or we are doing is absolutely in line with the business. Be an order taker. Be the person in the restaurant who is sitting, and if you are unable to fulfill that requirement, the tea is not available, what the best next thing available with you? Do you have coffee? Do you have a buttermilk? Do you have a milk or something? So it's not that we can't fulfill, all the XYZ requirement of the people, but at least some or other thing we can offer. And the way we offer, that should be really very humble and the enterprising way. So my next question to Mr. Sawant, when it comes to data, how L&D can help in terms of put forward the data and help the organization to get influenced?
Yeah. Thanks. So data, and we have heard many sessions in the morning, and also we are all practicing AI. One thing we all know that data is the core for AI, ML applications. Without data, relevant data, we can't expect magic. So data is at the core. And we are all sitting in our company, in HR department, L&D, HR. We are sitting on a huge pile of data. So data is available. It may be in different format, different sources. It's just a matter of really making use of that data. I would like to share a case, like to share what I did recently in my company when I was asked to come out with some kind of a thought process around this. I looked at it and categorized a simple 3-layer architecture. Nothing great. Input layer, middle engine layer. Engine is our AI ML, and it can be anything in that. It may be NLP, RAG, LLM, any kind of techniques. And then the output layer. So what I did is I looked at the data, and what I said, like we are sitting on the pile of data, like huge data available. It's just a matter of looking at it. So divided the data, and from the HR point of view, I'm telling, not any engineering, purely from HR point of view. And then I'll dwell into L&D. So just looked at the data, divided into 4 categories. The first category is all business documents. So we have, through HR, access to business documents. For example, from our business department, market department, we have access to RFQs, the codes, SOWs, and whatnot, business documents, technology roadmap. The second category is HR data. The third category is customer data. There would be some conversations happening, internal customer, external customer. But then data is available in terms of transcripts. So now we all have Teams or Zoom, we have transcripts, we have videos, we have lots of data available. HR data, we all know, full of HRIS. And the fourth important data set is external data. So some of you may be aware that there are national skills libraries available, open for all of us to access. ONET, there's Australian AOS, and there are another 2, 3. Even in India, we have QPs, quality packs, under Department of Ministry of Labor. So all this data is available. It's just a matter of using this 4 sets of data. Under each data, there are multiple sources, multiple formats, multiple live streams, or stationary things, structured or unstructured. All this data can be used for any kind of an application. So whatever is the AI write technique, we are not experts, we can just get them. But then output layer is where we can have one of the area, L&D. And what I did in my architecture, which I presented, L&D is a second phase architecture. But the first phase is, we all know, for most of the HR applications, the core is skills. It's a skills-based organization now. We are all working towards skills as a new currency. So for the skills-based organization, we need to have a proper skills metrics for different levels of people at different proficiency levels. So levels of people in the career architecture and proficiency levels on the skills, let's say 3-dimensional matrix. So if we can get this data churned through a machine learning, get our skills matrix, 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional, whatever you plan for, get that right. If that is fixed, we can just extract different applications, like L&D is one. And in L&D, what we can do, whatever we are doing manually, all that is possible. TNI, to personalization, to learning path, everything. Baseline for all this is your right set of data. So I believe it's a data-driven strategy which we should adopt. Keep an eye on the data, a right set of and relevant data, which will drive all the applications. We have been doing it. It's just that now huge data can be processed. So that's what I would
Yeah, thank you so much, Harshal, for sharing these insights about data. One thing we should really understand that when it comes to data and taking out the information from these all engines, like ChatGPT or maybe any one of that R1 or maybe Grok or any whatever you are using, the Gemini or anything, the right prompt is the very much important thing. The side effect here for a small, simpler, even the leave application, people go to ChatGPT and it will give you the 20 lines, for leave application. And once, my HRP person has called me, sir, see, just for one day leave, this person is writing so much of big paragraph, and he was absolutely pathetic in his English communication. So that's where the success really lies. Make people enable. Conduct something which will actually help them in terms of understanding the need of it and how to use it. We never forget the people who really add value to our knowledge and become that powerhouse of knowledge if you are there in the organization as a L&D. Now my question to Purna. Purna, help us in understanding how AI can improve the overall competencies and capability and help the organization to grow.
AI and automation has been playing a very significant role, especially in L&D function. With AI coming in, our learning has been faster, quicker, personalized. We have content which can be personalized basis the role skill set. While AI has launched, in my perception, HI is absolutely important. Without HI, which is human intelligence, especially in L&D, we need human intelligence to monitor or mentor L&D, because L&D is that function where we need push. Yeah. It is not a pull where people take it proactively. While AI is there, we still need HI to ensure that we make this a success. That's my view.
Very good. Thank you so much. Now my question to Joseph. Very important question, Joseph, from your experience. Share something, how should L&D team balance between the technical skill development and maybe the behavioral or the softer skill aspects?
Yeah, thanks. I'm part of leadership development in my team, and it's a debate that we have every day, and I'm part of an organization that's into technology consulting and services. So obviously the debate between should we spend more time on technical skills versus soft skills. There was this interesting conversation that one of my leaders said that, if you're going to focus heavily on technical skills and that's where all the money goes, let's be very honest, that's where all the money goes. The question was, maybe L&D can provide you an extremely smart phone with a fantastic processor as an outcome of this technical training, but it may not have a screen or may not have sound. Okay, so that essentially was what it was. And the conversation continued. It was a very interesting debate. And then, they said that, yeah, technical skills will help you do the job. Soft skills will help you do that job without driving people up the wall. Okay, so that essentially was the difference. So in my mind, with all these debates, I feel it is not an either or question. I think it's a question of doing this both, right? I support a lot of these customized niche solutions in my for the business units that I support, and there's always this question about where do we spend the time and effort. We did a little bit of stock taking over the last 1 year and the first quarter of this year, and it turns out that almost 70% of the investments have gone into technical skilling, but 70% of the needs that sit with me today are about why these technologists are not able to have the right kind of conversation with the clients. I don't know if this resonates, but that essentially is what we are dealing with. So somewhere there is this thing. So, and I don't want to say that, we should put all the money and all the investments into soft skills, but the criticality of that is only going to increase. We've already seen in this panel discussion, mention about AI, Gen AI, etc. It's going to do a lot of the hard work. I think that's a given. But if you want, people not just to code, and I'm sorry if I'm tilting heavily towards IT services, but if you want people to code and not connect, then technical skills are fine. It's sufficient. If you want them to present, but maybe not necessarily persuade, then again, technical skills are sufficient. If you want people to simply analyze and not necessarily empathize, then again, technical skills are fine. A lot of people who lead technical training here are going to be very, very pissed off with what I'm saying. But, okay, this is reality that I am dealing with at this point, and I'm talking on behalf of, an organization that invests heavily. But there is a bit of a shift. And I think the amount of, conversations we are hearing about AI and Gen AI, the technical training is going to continue because without that, it's, I don't think there's too much that we'd be able to contribute. But the human side of it will not be lost out. And I think that is where, soft skills come into play. One last piece. I don't know if the word soft is what makes it very soft. Okay, and that I've heard as well, because people then want me to explain what is soft skills? How is that different from behavioral skills? What are you doing there? Because you're in leadership skills. What the hell is all of these? So we've made it very fashionable and we've called it power skills. I'm sure you must have heard. It's not soft skills anymore, it's power skills, right? You want to have the power of not doing your job by driving people up the wall, then you need soft skills. That's how we're looking at it. So now there's a huge tilt towards investing more time in softer skills, and I think that's going to continue because that's what retains the human element of it. And if you're speaking about human intelligence, I think we got to continue to invest in that. That is
very interesting. One of the big debate amongst the business leaders, training, learning and development, learning initiatives are expenses. People in HR or the L&D, those who really are successful in showing them that it's not expense, it's an investment. It's an investment. And where does the success really lies for them? My question to Rashmi. Rashmi, how can we convert this from expense to investment for the business leaders? Why I am asking you this question? Because believe you me, if your business leader, who is a CEO of a company or the managing director of a company, if he is pro-training and oriented person, he might have tested the success based upon the training, learning something. He will always sing the song of training. Do this, do that, attend this, do that. If he is not of that mindset, probably he did not experience into his past career, he will never give weightage. And that's the time where you need to find out the break-even something in front of these people. Again and again, you go and show them, your training plan or something, the person will not, seems to be agreeing, right? So, Rashmi, over to you, share something, if you might have experience of such thing and you did something in, in your past organization, in the current one.
Sure. So essentially, it is impossible for us, for any L&D team, to drive all programs linked to business value, right? Yeah. So that's a given. And my attempt started in terms of identifying in every function, can we look at the top 2 skill sets? Okay, that's going to make a difference for the business, right? And I think this kind of colludes with my earlier first question you kind of asked me, right? So if the business is vested in the fact that if this is the metrics that's going to move, right, then automatically, they will co-partner to ensure that metric moves. So then they give you sponsors to co-create the content, to keep a watch over what's happening from a progress perspective, even if it's technical or if it's soft skills or leadership pieces. Now, largely around the soft skills and leadership competencies and behaviors or an org value run pieces, what we've done is we've defined with the leadership saying that this is what a leader in Angel 1, this is how we define it, right? Or a manager in Angel 1, this is what it looks like. So we have a core framework and we have values defined. So there we are very clear. There we know we do regular assessments of employees and leaders, right? And figure out where they stand and then help the business define, saying that while on your business metric, this person has been a high performer, is this person really a critical, if he or she is a critical talent for you, we don't see him or her also shaping up around the leadership skills as well that might be required for them to step up. So how do we look at talent holistically? So one of the key successes for me is also showing the business that learning and talent should be looked at with one lens. So the integrated talent management part of it has really worked wonders for me. Also, sometimes I think now, my leaders come back and say, "Arey, there's so much of AI piece happening. Okay, what can you do?" So my, suggestion and that where I've burned my fingers also, don't waste time on looking at automating processes. Okay, saying that, okay, these surveys can become pulse checks and all of that and showcase this to the business because they'll catch this very fast. They'll be like, okay, what next, right? Look at your pain points. Like I said, the business does not see, or managers do not see value in doing simple things beyond upskilling. Like, for example, having developmental conversations is a problem despite us upskilling them whatsoever in manager capability problems. So why is that a problem? The problem is because I really don't know as a manager how to hold fort while communicating or whatever, and nobody's checking this as well. It's completely dependent on the employee who's receiving this, right? So from an L&D person also, how do I justify that the training has seen value and from a business piece, they also own this up. So we are actually working on with our tech folks around on the LLM. How do we look at ensuring if a conversation is happening, there's a past talent docket there. The conversation is also entered in, while they're doing this live, right? So when that audio records this, by the time it goes in for the next conversation, the system would have given you, this was the past pattern of how the conversation went. Or this person is a hypo or a hyper or a low performer or whatever, and this was a summary of what went. Please be alert as a manager, and you may want to have this check-in like this. And we plan to do this more continuous so that the manager needs to focus only on one element of softs. So that really showcases on value on the softer end. And the reason I kind of call that out is because the business metrics, it's easy to showcase movement. On the softer elements and the leadership elements, which most L&D folks are dumped with first, right? Yeah. You change the org, that's where the challenge is. And if you look at things like this, nobody can refute it. So you're talking to the business in their own language. With new age skill sets as well. So. Yeah,
very, very interesting, showing them the tangible aspect of learning and development, that this activity or maybe the learning intervention has moved the needle from here to there. Now, many people are partying to this. Maybe the marketing department, also supply chain, also they said no, success is because of us, right? But at the same time, if we are able to show them the pre and the post effect, yeah, probably we may not take the complete ownership of it, but we may say that it has also really helped. And then keeping some certain data of the training hours, names of the people, performer, non-performer to performer, something.
Also so more promoted.
Yeah.
From your growth cycles also.
Yeah. So more tangible we are, more we are able to talk with numbers, more prominent we are. Now my question to Harshal. Harshal, how can L&D professional effectively demonstrate the value learning to the organization? Value learning. How can L&D demonstrate the value in learning to the organization?
So my take on this as follows, and again, I would like to share the experience and the kind of program which I'm learning. Now, we have multiple programs. We do it for hypos and technical power skills and multiple things. And there is one case which came where some of the domains, so engineering leaders told that certain domains, and I can just call it like AutoSAR is one of the domain, and we're finding it very difficult to get the talent in the market, very difficult to find it. What can be done? So one of the program which we are doing is, we worked it out, is from the fresh grads which we hired after they complete 2.5 years, we did a kind of funnel, shortlisted at multiple levels, picked up the real bright guys. So imagine an engineering department with 200 freshers. Most of them continue, even if we consider the attrition of 20%. We just picked up 5 folks, bright chaps among those lot, and put them into a specialist program. It's a program for 1 year. They are really bright. They are hungry for challenge. They are hungry for knowledge. They are hungry to prove. Picked up internal subject matter experts who have got 15 plus years of experience, and they are coaching these 5 bright kids. And the results have started coming in. So while those 15 years experienced people, along with this 3.5 years of freshly grown up, they are now working on some of the very, very high-end tasks. And that's where now we are getting as an L&D, as a talent department, the value being seen. The engineering department, engineering leaders are seeing that there is a value. We are not running like a mass program, doing a very focused, creating specialists. And in our company, we have a tech ladder where people grow purely in tech. There's no people management, program management, and we are feeding to that ladder. They are going to be our people with fellows and senior fellows and patent creators. Now, that's the value we are creating, solving 2 major issues. One, there is a talent crunch that's being fed. Secondly, really utilizing the fresh, bright talent. So that's a value creation in my belief.
Yeah, interesting piece of information. 3, one of the most important, the adult learning principle here. I see, I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, I do and I learn.
Different ways, right? And I think the interesting thing to look at, and at least what we have seen over the last couple of years, more so, accelerated after the pandemic and all of that, is that nobody's got time, nobody's got patience. I think that part's clear, right? It's almost like asking a friend, what did you do over the weekend? And them taking like a 30-minute time span to explain what happened over the weekend. Nobody's got time to listen to that, right? So I think the philosophy when it comes to, these modern approaches, micro-learning, all of those, if you look at it, is about whether you're providing learning that is just in time, just for me, and just enough. That seems to be where it is moving towards. Just in time, just for me, just enough. Anything beyond that, I don't think anybody has the patience to sit down and figure out, a lot of history behind why I'm being asked to learn something. I need something at this point in time, I should be able to, I have to do something at this point in time, I should have access to the learning. I should have access to learning that's relevant for me, not for a cohort of people. I should be asked to come into a training because I got to do something right now, not because the calendar opened up. Okay, so it's about just in time, just for me, and just enough. Anything beyond this seems to be falling flat, right? There's this interesting book, Innovator's Method. Yeah, it's called Innovator's Method, author Nathan Fuhr. He mentioned this, that he doesn't believe in the concept of, competence anymore, critical competence of an organization. He felt that the only competence that an organization holds today is the speed at which they learn. Period. There is no more competitive advantage. The concept of competitive advantage for organizations are going out. The only true competitive advantage that exists with an organization is the speed at which they get their associates and employees to learn. And you can learn anything these days, right? So whatever the organization wants to do, adjacencies, whatever it might be, the speed at which they get to do that. So I think that is where micro-learning and all those modern approaches will make a difference, because there's no more the concept of traditional learning. Yeah. That is what we've been realizing and we've been trying to focus on.
Yeah, thank you so much, and very, very interesting. Daniel Goleman, in his book Emotional Intelligence 2.0, he mentioned three things. Employees can be very, very productive if you just inculcate these three things into your day-to-day curriculum or maybe the interaction with the people. Number one is giving them the clarity in the goals, what exactly they need to do, maybe their KPI. Number two is, that find out an opportunity in an organization to appreciate people instantly. And third one is giving them something which they never used to do into their day-to-day life, something a little more challenging, exposing them to something which they are not aware of. Probably this will help all of us to set up the entire context of L&D in front of the leaders. And the last one I always used to say, inside the room where people are actually sitting and learning, more equally important is outside also, with the stakeholders. Remember three things, one is that is called TTT. Tell them what will you going to tell them. Tell them what are you telling them. Tell them what have you told them. That's which is very, very important, not only inside the training room, even the outside also. Yeah, thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. And thank you so much to all our panelists for adding a lot of value. Thank you. Joseph, would you like to answer this?
It'll take me a lot of hours to explain. But, I mean, that's just my way of saying that I don't have an answer. Okay, but okay. So see, I think it's a lot to do with challenging ourselves, and I'll tell you why. Don't quote me. Don't ask my boss. Don't ask Cognizant. But we've had, budget restrictions. I won't say budget cuts, right? It's about aligning it to the right spaces, right? We have what is known as a calendar of offerings which we provide to anybody. We like to say that, we have something to learn for everyone at any given point in time. That's the confidence that we have, right? But now the philosophy is shifting towards, can I move that budget from there and giving that option to something that might give them, like he asked, micro-learning as an option. So I think it's not a question of whether budget restrictions and cuts are there. It is more about, with that amount of money that's available, how much more can you reach? Right? So scaling it, sustaining it, those seem to be the approach rather than moving away from that original 3 E's of, education, exposure, experience. While those continue, they're there. But now it's more about scale. I want to be able to use automation to be able to train somebody on how you are going to talk to a client that you have never met all your life tomorrow at this point in time, who's coming from retail with 25 years of experience. But I'm just going to use Gen AI to tell me how I'm going to deal with that individual. So the point is, am I going to put money in that? Or run my calendar of offerings, which are 90-minute webinars on a regular basis on a series of leadership competencies. So it's about realigning is what I'd say. Well, the other way to crudely put it is, my boss told me you have a 20% cut in budget.
So interesting question. I would like to, give a different point of view to this, Thank you so much for asking this. But my just question to all of us, all the colleagues sitting over here, never be a goody-goody to the business. The problem here, we are always saying yes. If business is having the different perspective and the mindset, try to show them something, which is very, very important here. I would like to ask everyone to do this with me. Do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is this 1, 2, 3, 4? I always used to, make my participants also to do this. What is this 1, 2, 3, 4? One perspective to this, to your question. Show them the bigger picture globally. Little hard work you need to do. You need to go and do some, the background work. Whatever you would like to do, an intervention, maybe learning intervention, training, or calling some, the expert from outside, it's a cost to the company. But before you present them, the project, tell them this has worked here globally. And then come to our country in India. something you might have happened, it may not be important for your company or your industry, something, maybe in and around. Third one is maybe into the similar industry in which you are working, that has worked somewhere, and then come to your own organization. Use this funnel technique, probably you will be able to influence them with the data and the right information. Thank you so much for asking such a lovely question. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, everyone.